Hello, welcome to Hollywood Crime Scene. This is Rachel Fisher.
This is Desi, Jedeikin. We are finally here.
It's the final chapter.
The final chapter, Martha Stewart, Part 4. In addition to Martha Inc. and Just Desserts, I also read Martha and Me by Marion Pasternak. This is Martha's Judas. Her best friend, her former best friend, wrote this book. I also read an article back in the day by Joan Didion on Martha for The New Yorker, as well as a profile in Vanity Fair by Matt Tyrnauer.
Wait, the article's called Back in the Day?
No, it's from back in the day.
Oh.
It's from back in the
day.
day.
So you read this back in the day?
No, I read it recently. It's from 2000. That's what I mean by back in the day. It's old.
No, I know what that means.
Oh.
I wanted to know if you had read this already, like when it came out.
Oh, no, I did not read it.
Okay.
I wasn't reading the New Yorker then, I don't think. I'm not even reading it now, really.
But now
occasionally.
But now you're an intellectual.
Absolutely. Where we left off. On October 19th, 1999, Martha Stewart living Omni Media went public on the New York Stock Exchange. And by the end of trading, Martha Stewart was the first female self-made billionaire in the United States. She was just about 2 years away from making another stock market move that would also change her life, and that would be a stock involving a company called Clone Systems, which was owned and operated by her longtime friend, Sam Waxel. Now, Martha had met Sam back in 1987 when her daughter Alexis brought him home. It was her new boyfriend.
No way.
Yes. Now, you might be calculating in your head that this was an extreme age difference. Alexis was in her early 20s and Sam was in his early 40s. So he was closer to Martha's age at that time. Now, there were rumors that Martha also dated Sam Waxel, which is sick.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
I would never want to date someone, I would be so freaked out if my mom dated one of my exes.
That would be crazy.
Like, you have to stop.
But part of me was like, maybe there is like this competition, but everyone always denies it and there's no evidence of it. But Sam and Martha were very close. After Alexis and him broke up, they remained close friends.
Okay, that would also be weird to me.
I agree.
Like, why are you hanging out with my ex-boyfriend?
It's crazy. Like, to be close friends outside of me.
Yeah. I'd be like, Mom, I hate him. He's annoying. Get him away.
So she was not only friends with him, but she relied on him for business advice as well. Now, I mentioned a few of her rumored lovers last episode. I forgot to mention that Martha Stewart dated Anthony Hopkins.
No way.
Yes. But the relationship ended after she saw The Silence of the Lambs. She said she couldn't stop associating him with Hannibal Lecter.
I think that would make him even hotter.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, you're so scary.
I was like, ooh.
You're dark. Anthony Hopkins is like the nicest guy ever. I cannot imagine this relationship.
He's so different from that character,
He's a gentle soul.
I know. I'm glad that it ended because I think she would have ruined him.
I wouldn't have wanted her to be mean to him.
No. Now, for sure, the most significant relationship, though, outside of her ex-husband, Andy, was with billionaire Charles Simonyi. I don't know how to say it. He was an early employee of Microsoft, and he invented Word and Excel.
What?
And he's like a billionaire.
He's Word?
He invented Excel.
And Excel?
And Word.
Oh, look, Excel,
those,
he
ate with those.
I got a big Excel head, though, I gotta say. But Word, good job.
So they were together off and on for 15 years. And he's even on one of her shows from 2007 as a space tourist aboard Soyuz. I guess that was a space tourist thing. The relationship was definitely troubled, and he cheated on her like all the time, and sometimes in incredibly blatant ways. Like, he didn't even hide it. He'd have a big party in like Monaco, and there'd be some young blonde there that he was like fucking while Martha was there. Like, that kind of shit.
Did she threaten him with pruning shears?
No, she kind of didn't do anything. It's like, I think because her focus wasn't really romance at that point, it was like companionship. She wanted someone really intelligent and she was so busy with her own life.
Yeah.
Even though she was devastated by her divorce initially, she did say later on that she came to be grateful for it. She said, I could have just been a miserable has-been housewife, but I didn't let that happen to myself, and I'm so happy I didn't. In her opinion, she did things she never would have done if she had stayed married. Now, Martha was finally getting the respect that she felt she had always deserved as a businesswoman, too, at this point. Although many people were still criticizing her for this perfect image and presenting this unattainable lifestyle. These are some criticisms of her from Salon magazine. I can't believe people don't see the irony in the fact that this ultimate homemaker has made a multi-million dollar empire out of baking cookies and selling sheets.
It's a little more than that.
Yeah, but it's also like saying, oh, she's a homemaker, then why is she a businesswoman?
Oh, I
Like
know.
that kind of stuff.
Right.
Someone said, I read in an interview in Wired where she said she gets home at 11 p.m. most days, which means she's obviously too busy to be the perfect mom, wife, homemaker.
Well, you got me there.
Yeah.
Oh, my cover is blown.
And she's like, many women feel like they have to live up to this image because she projects it, but she's clearly not doing it. But Martha thinks her critics missed the point. She says, I was serving a desire, not only mine, but every homemaker's desire to elevate the job of homemaker. It was floundering, I think, and we all wanted to escape it, get out of the house, get the high paying job, pay somebody else to do everything that we didn't really think was worthy of our attention. And all of a sudden, I realized it's terribly worthy of our attention. And Joan Didion, of all people, agreed. She said what she offers and what's more strictly professional shelter and food magazines and shows do not is the promise of a transferred mana, transferred luck. Joan Didion goes on to say that the cultural meaning of Martha Stewart's success, in other words, lies deep in the success itself, which is why even her troubles or strivings are part of the message, not detrimental but integral to the brand. A lot of criticism of Martha was also that she wanted it so bad. She wanted to be successful.
How dare her?
And Joan said, she has branded herself not as a superwoman, but as an every woman, a distinction that seems to remain unclear to her critics. Now, Martha was getting these huge business profiles as well as the one I mentioned earlier in Vanity Fair, where she's like in the boardroom and glass skyscraper with the glass table,
Yeah.
like that kind of setup. And this is when she purchases her legendary estate in Seal Harbor, Maine, named Skylands. In the profile is a very funny moment because they're like antique shopping one day with Martha, and she passes a window full of Lily Pulitzer clothing, and she says, I'll be dead before I wear Lily Pulitzer. Around this time, she also does the unthinkable. She leaves Connecticut. And Martha puts down roots in Bedford, New York. She buys a 1925 farmhouse in Katona, New York, which is in Westchester County, about an hour and a half from New York City. This is a 153-acre property. And once again, it's like a fixer-upper.
Yeah.
Martha's like on it. So everything is coming up, Martha. But a big fear of her investors throughout her business career, including when she launched her IPO, was the fact that Martha was the center of Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia universe. Everything revolved around her persona. She was the company, and those fears came to the forefront in 2002. At the end of December 2001, Martha, along with her best friend, Mariana Pasternak, go to Cabo San Lucas for a vacation. According to Martha, on the way to Cabo, they make a fuel stop in San Antonio. She gets out, she calls her office and gets a message from her stockbroker. Gets a message that her stockbroker had called about ImClone Biotech company. So, as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Sam Waxel is the owner of ImClone. He had recently created a drug called Erbitux. This was a supposed type of cure for certain types of cancer, and it was waiting for FDA approval. So obviously that's a huge thing at the time. When Martha calls Peter Bakanovich, her broker, he tells her the stock is going down and tells her, I think we should sell. She's like, good, sell, and gets back on the plane to Cabo. She claims she didn't think about it again. But then, according to Martha, the shit hit the fan about 6 months later in June of 2002. Sam Waxel is arrested for insider trading. Now, back in December of 2021, on the 26th, Sam had found out that the FDA had denied the approval of Erbitux. So he sold stock and tipped off two of his family members to sell their stock as well, 2 days before the formal announcement would be made. Obviously, this lack of approval would be devastating to the stock, and that's what happens. It crashes in value by 18%. At the time, there was an FBI task force to focus on white-collar criminals because I think if you remember back in these days, there was a lot of corporate corruption going down in majorly public ways. I mean, there always is, but this was like
Enron era.
and that kind of stuff was like, everyone was like, what the fuck? Even though it's like, yeah, you guys just
Duh.
noticed. So because of this, there was extra scrutiny. The government sees that several people unloaded stock before this big public announcement is made, and it raised a red flag. One of the names of someone who sold their M-Clone stock was Martha Stewart.
And they just wanted to get her so bad.
Well, yeah.
Guess Miss Perfect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm
Isn't
sure they
so
saw that and it was like, great. Perfect. Yeah. So she gets a call to speak to the U.S. attorney regarding the sale. She claims to not be worried because she didn't insider trade, and her lawyers advise her to be honest. If she isn't sure about something, they tell her to say she doesn't recall or she doesn't remember. Now, this will come back to bite her in the ass. So obviously, this is major news, and people are just, like you said, ready to pounce. Her stock takes a dive because, as I mentioned earlier, she's the face of the company, even more so than someone like, say, Steve Jobs. Like, she's the brand. Her life is the brand. So she was advised to stay quiet, which she now says she regrets and was a mistake, because people ran with their own narrative of what happened. Obviously, she becomes late night monologue fodder. She's on the cover of every tabloid paper in New York and, across the nation as well. The National Enquirer, the Star. It's all about Martha.
And she hasn't even been arrested yet.
No, or charged with anything.
Yeah.
So she finally releases a statement saying she had no inside information and that the transaction was 100% lawful, like a boilerplate statement, but at least it's something finally. And then she has an infamous appearance on The Early Show, which was a regular thing she did weekly at that time. One of the hosts, Jane Clayson, tries to question Martha as she's shredding cabbage for a salad. Jane asks her about the accusations, and Martha's just like, through gritted teeth, really annoyed that anyone's questioning her on anything about this. She's like, I will be exonerated of any ridiculousness. And she's just chopping. Jane keeps trying to press her on questions. And Martha finally says, I want to just focus on my salad.
Good for her.
And she keeps shredding. Truly iconic moment. It's online. You have to see it because it's great, because it's like, shut the fuck up. I'm not talking about that.
I'm making a fucking salad.
I'm here to make a salad. This is not an interview about anything.
Jane.
Obviously, when people are in situations like this, they're often told not to talk about it either, because that could get them in trouble. Like, what don't you get? If she says something, anyone can use that statement then against her.
Yeah.
Especially when it's off the cuff. You might not say it exactly right. But whatever, we get that moment. And it's just, everyone like leaps on this because it's exactly what we all, or the people, the haters, all think about her. She's a bitch. She's rude to this woman, etc. Now, obviously, her own stock continues to plummet. She loses millions. The irony of it all is that, according to the SEC, the stock trade she made she avoided a loss of $45,000 in change. So like, it's not even like she saved that much money that it would be worth risking millions, and her reputation, obviously. In the months that follow, the media scrutiny just grows. Newsweek has a headline that says Martha's Mess, digging into it. She's like on the cover of so many magazines regarding this story. She says later in an interview, when I was a model, all you wanted was to be on the cover of a magazine. That's how your success was judged. The more covers, the better. As the CEO of a New York Stock Exchange listed company, at this point, I don't want to be on any covers of any newspapers for a long, long time. On October 3rd, 2002, she has to resign her position on the board of directors of the New York Stock Exchange. And unfortunately for the feds, though, they don't have any evidence that Sam tipped Martha off. According to Sam, they even low-key offer him a deal if he will testify that he tipped Martha off. They'll give him a lesser sentence. And the guy who's trying to convince him to take this deal is James fucking Comey.
Oh my God.
So he's the one who goes after Martha Stewart. This guy needs to fucking get out. I hate him.
This guy's so irritating.
He's so irritating. So on June 4th, 2003, Comey makes a huge press conference. It's like all the bells and whistles as if they've taken down Al Capone, like it's the biggest crime of the century. And he tells everyone that Martha Stewart will be indicted by a grand jury on 9 counts, none of which are insider trading, but basically for lying to the feds and obstruction of justice. So how can you be charged with lying about a crime you didn't commit? Well, when she said she didn't recall knowing about the Waxels selling their stocks, that was where she got into trouble. So someone did make a deal, and that someone was named Douglas Fenwell. He is an assistant to Peter Bakanovich, her stockbroker, and he was set to testify that Martha did know Sam was selling her stocks.
Selling his stocks.
Selling his stocks. So technically, that's not insider trading, but she had some information that she lied about when the feds were interrogating her.
Come on.
It's stupid. So he says that he left her a phone message that stated Peter Bakanovich thinks ImClone is going to start trading downward. After speaking to him, he says Stewart allegedly requested that he sell her stake in ImClone. And the months following the trade, Stewart and Bakanovich claimed that they had made a prior agreement to sell ImClone shares if the stock price ever fell below $60. However, no one had found a record of a stop-loss order between them, which doesn't necessarily mean they didn't say it to each other. They just didn't have a record of it. Now, in the documentary Martha on Netflix, one of the people they interviewed, who's like an expert on stock market shit, said that 95 out of 100 prosecutors would not bring this case, that it's absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, it sounds ridiculous. And once again, this shit infuriates me because there are like way bigger crimes, white-collar crimes that we see being committed in front of our own eyes. And it's like, why aren't you going after that?
Also, I'm sorry, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but this shit happens probably 500 times a day with these people.
Well, it's just so clear what their agenda was, and it was to make an example of Martha Stewart, and they thought, this is going to bring headlines. This is like very easy for them to do. It's going to make a big fucking ruckus.
Yeah. Basically. So this person also described that Comey was self-righteous and ambitious. And like you said, they wanted to use Martha's fame to look like they were doing something about white-collar crime.
And I just don't believe that. Because I'm just saying, look at all these assholes.
Well, because it's like they get her and then their friends are off the hook.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Another person, a woman who worked for Martha Stewart Living at the time, called James Comey a sanctimonious twat.
I believe
agree.
it.
I was like, that's the perfect phrase for it.
He's just he's such a fucking nerd.
Just seeing him in this press conference too, which is in the documentary, it was so infuriating because it's like you didn't get what you wanted. So you just kept trying to find something. And I don't like that. That's like fucking like you're trying to get someone. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's about the prosecution. It's not about justice.
No, it's just getting her. So it's like you can't get her for what you were originally going for, then give up. Just stop. That's like it's over.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you can't save face like this. So obviously her stock goes down by 86%. At this point, she voluntarily steps down as CEO and chairwoman of Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia. but stays as their chief creative officer. And people are living for her downfall once again.
I remember this very well.
Douglas Fanuel, it's not enough for him to take her down with this testimony. He also wants to paint her as the villain. He says that Martha Stewart treated him like shit. She hung up on him one time. He said when he told her about the stock, she made sound like a roaring lion underwater, that she was rude, and that she threatened to take her account elsewhere if they didn't change the hold music. I don't have a problem with any of this. She's probably rude to him because he's a little shit. And obviously, this had a feeling of men getting her at last. Taking her out in the business world, kind of we'll get her instead of going after the cronies, other guys.
I mean, yeah. And once again, I'm not trying to be oh, this poor little billionaire woman. I'm just saying,
but fair is fair.
I'm just saying there seems way bigger fish to fry. And that's what infuriates me so much. It's if you were actually going after people who are really doing harmful shit.
Go after more Enrons.
Yeah.
Go after the oil companies. There's so many other things you can be doing right now instead of a fucking $45,000 stock trade that technically didn't really hurt anybody else except for the people who didn't have the information, other investors, I guess. But
I mean, it just feels in the scheme of things, this really irritates me that this was this big fucking takedown.
No,
to them.
It's ridiculous. It's when you start watching it too in the documentary, you're you get really mad because it's crazy. So the last nail in the coffin, though, was Mariana Pasternak. Now, she is Martha's longtime best friend, bridesmaid at her, what's it called? Maid of honor at her wedding, godmother to her children. The kids were on Martha Stewart's original show.
Didn't Meghan McCain say that to someone? You were at my wedding, Denise.
Yes.
Do you remember when she said something like that?
I can't remember exactly
but
what it was.
This
yeah,
bitch.
Yeah. So she was the one who was on vacation with Martha when she made the cell. And she will testify that at some point on the trip, Martha said to her, "Isn't it nice to have brokers who tell you these kind of things?" So Martha is found guilty in March of 2004 of felony charges of conspiracy to obstruction of the agency proceeding, and making false statements to federal investigations. So nothing about insider trading or stocks. It's purely about lying to the feds.
Wow.
It's if you're not lying to the feds, though, who are you? You should always be lying to the feds. Fuck the feds. Alexis faints after the jury reads their verdict.
God.
And Martha, to this day, she still proclaims her innocence. In the documentary, she's I was just a trophy for these idiots. She also says that the New York Post lady was there looking very smug. And this New York Post writer is named Andrea Pizer. She covered Martha's trial for the New York Post at the time, describing Martha as ill-mannered dominatrix, the queen of control freaks, and a dame who made $1 billion treating her inferiors like pawn scum. So obviously Martha, that stuck in her craw. She did not like these words. And in the documentary, she said she had written horrible things during the entire trial, but she's dead now, thank goodness.
Oh.
And nobody has to put up with the crap she was writing all the time. Now, very soon after the documentary drops, Andrea Pizer releases a column saying, "Hey, Martha Stewart, you gloated about the death of a Post columnist, but I'm alive, bitch."
Oh. Wait, she didn't die?
She didn't die.
Okay, that's even funnier.
It's very funny. She said, "News of my passing came as a shock. Should I be scared about continuing to write that crap? Long after she and her insider tip-giving stockbroker were convicted of securities fraud and other crimes, they weren't, lying about it to federal investigators, her thoughts are not with her family, her pink-slipped employees, her many menagerie of animals, or even her own miserable self. She's focused her fury at me." Get a life. I'm on Martha's side.
Maybe
Andrea.
her employees wouldn't have lost their job if she wasn't prosecuted by James Comey.
Absolutely.
Maybe he should apologize.
And look what he's gone on to do. Not anything good.
What an illustrious career.
So then Stewart She happens to be at a conference in Philadelphia, a conference for women event, and she's like, "Oh, I saw she wrote this very scathing article today in the New York Post, my favorite newspaper." She reads the headline out loud. "Hey, Martha Stewart, you gloated about the death of a Post columnist, but I'm alive, bitch." And the audience gasps. She reads it out loud. So Martha goes on to say, "So that will probably cause a lot more people to watch my documentary." So she found a little silver lining in all of it. So this is clearly rock bottom for Martha. Her show is obviously canceled. All the ad buys for her magazine have plummeted. The stock is almost worthless. And in July of 2004, she is sentenced to 5 months in prison, an additional 5 months of home confinement, and 2 years of supervised probation. She says on the courthouse steps following her sentencing, "I'll be back. I will be back. I'm used to all kinds of hard work, as you know, and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid whatsoever." So we'll end here and come back with more after the break. So Martha is scheduled to check into a minimum security federal correctional facility in Alderson, West Virginia on October 8th, 2004.
Camp Cupcake.
Well, she has some words about that. Yes, it is called Camp Cupcake. I think a lot of people dunk on these federal prisons, but there's still things where I'd be very unhappy.
It's not fun. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, going any kind of prison, whether it's a minimum security prison or not. Obviously, would I rather go to a federal minimum security? Of course I would.
Of course.
But it's still not fun.
Right. So she had put in a request to be incarcerated in Connecticut or Florida, because, I mean, the main reason she states is that the remoteness of this location would make it difficult for her then 90-year-old mother to visit. They said Connecticut was too close to the New York media, and the Florida prison she had requested was overcrowded due to Hurricane Hugo. I guess that happened at some point right around this time. So, but her spokesperson felt like this was being vindictive on the part of the feds. They wanted to, and Alexis agreed. She said that they wanted to make a point of sending her somewhere very far away and remote so that people couldn't visit her as much, which is really fucked up in general to do to anybody in prison. So while in confinement, she does take jobs. She becomes an informal liaison between administration and her fellow inmates. In the doc, she talks about how awful it was despite the name Camp Cupcake. She says, this is like really sad. She does this interview with Oprah, I guess, before she goes to prison. And Oprah's like, "Aren't you scared? Like, they're going to strip you down." And Martha's like, "Oh, I don't think they do that for minimum security prison." And Oprah's like, "They do." And she's like, "Oh, like,"
yeah.
And you see her in real time kind of processing it. And that's what they do. When she gets admitted, she has to strip down, squat, do the arms up, and cough. They're like, "What's going to fall out of her pussy?"
A beautiful piece of antique china.
A light of gourd lights. Which is horrifying.
Yeah.
That is just so dehumanizing. Like, why do we do that? It's disgusting. And I feel like it should be stopped.
Yeah, it's
I
gross.
get why they do it, but come on. At this point, don't we have a better way of doing that?
It's gross.
It's disgusting. So because she's over 60 at the time, she's relegated to the bottom bunk, which apparently is really horrible. Like the top bunk at least has more of a structure, but the bottom bunk is really uncomfortable and the springs are all broken, etc. Obviously, she talks about in the documentary that the food is absolute shit, all processed, nothing fresh. And a lot of people are like giddy at the fact that she's going to be in this horrible circumstance, which is sick because it's like, yeah, they're all in this horrible circumstance too. So while you're laughing about
just
her,
Martha Stewart.
Yeah, it's like anything you think is funny is actually horrible because they should be getting fresh food and good food to eat. I'm not saying it's like fucking Chez Panisse,
Right.
but like fresh food, vegetables, fruit, like that should be a bare minimum. Also, while she's in prison, her boyfriend, Charles, basically ghosts her. Like, he doesn't really write or come see her. And she says that at some point she really starts thinking, like, does anyone even miss me? Like, do people miss me? And she says it's a real fight to keep her self-esteem up, and she has to, like, tell herself constantly throughout the day, like, "You're a good person. Like, you don't deserve this treatment." And, everyone, I think, in prison probably starts feeling that way.
Yeah.
Um, so after an initial period of depression, she does snap out of it and she decides to focus on learning something new every day. She becomes quite popular. She bonds with a woman trying to start a garden on the prison grounds. She gives her several of her gardening books, and the woman's really grateful, and she works to get her supplies. She also speaks of a scary incident. She writes in her journal every day in prison, and she reads from the journal in her documentary. She says, "Today I saw two very well dressed ladies walking, and I breezed by them, remarking on the beautiful warm morning and how nice they looked. When I realized from the big silver keychain they were guards, I lightly brushed the chain. Later, I was called in to be told never ever to touch a guard without expecting severe reprimand." She said she apologized but didn't expect anything further to come from it because the incident was so minor. However, later she is dragged into solitary confinement for touching an officer. She's given no food or water for 24 hours.
What?
Yeah, so she's like, in the documentary, she's like, and this is Camp Cupcake, remember? That was the nickname, Camp Cupcake. She's like, it was not a cupcake. That seems illegal.
Well, yeah. I mean, the way we treat prisoners in this country is like insane, like out of control.
I agree. So she continues to try to focus on the things she can do to kind of keep a positive attitude and do positive actions. At some point, she is asked to speak to a women's group about careers. She encourages them to pursue entrepreneurship, and she even helps a lot of them create business plans. She does get the garden going, and she even like sneaks in a sweet potato one time to the prison because you're not allowed to do things like that.
Yeah.
She also sneaks in cucumber sandwiches one time into a meeting, and the women at first are like, "What the fuck?
Cucumber sandwiches.
Cucumber sandwiches!" But they're obviously delicious, and she really like wins them over. Like they love her. So she starts doing things. She reacquaints herself with the crafts she did as a child, including crochet and ceramics. She said, "I had done a lot of ceramics as a child, and we had this fabulous ceramic studio in West Virginia. I made an entire crochet scene. That's my best memory of prison." Now, I had to look up crochet scene, and that's the nativity set she made. The one that
Yeah.
I purchased, the replica of. So I
Yeah.
have that nativity set. Now, she gets released from Alderson 12:30 a.m. on March 4th, 2005. In the documentary, she says that it was like returning to life in spring when life is sort of coming up again, was very poignant and poetic to her. She famously leaves prison in her poncho. Now, this prison poncho was made for her by one of her fellow inmates at Alderson. In an interview with the New York Times, she said, "This was made by a friend of mine, a wonderful lady. The yarn came from the commissary. The night before I left, she handed me this, not wrapped because there is no wrapping paper, and she said, 'Wear it in good health.'"
Aw.
Her boyfriend did send a private plane to pick her up. She gets home and she is allowed to leave her home confinement for work-related things. So she does return to Martha Stewart Living, and when she returns, she receives like a literal thunderous standing ovation. She makes a little speech, and she actually gets choked up and starts to cry. Like she's so
Wow.
happy. And this is in the documentary, so you can see Martha cry. It was actually kind of touching because it's something you don't see, but she was truly like choked up. She gives several interviews about prison life. Obviously, people want to know what it was like. She said it was horrifying, and she's like, no one should have to go through that kind of indignity, like maybe murderers and a few other categories, but no one should have to go through that. It's really awful. There are lots and lots of disturbing things that go on in our incarceration. She does say the experience made her stronger. In an interview in Harper's Bazaar from 2021, she said, "I knew I was strong going in, and I was certainly stronger coming out. It was a very serious happening in my life, and I take it very seriously. I'm not bitter about it." And I didn't know this, but she was, people put her name up to be pardoned by Obama. back in the day, or like whatever it's
Oh,
called.
really?
What's it called? Like not pardoned, I guess, where you get your charges or like whatever.
Expunged?
Yeah.
Look, my brain is Swiss cheese right now.
Whatever. I think there's something where they kind of, it's like you didn't get convicted.
Yeah.
Because she is a felon. But she actually didn't get it, but she says she wouldn't have taken it regardless. And I kind of believe it.
Yeah.
I think she does kind of like, I did this. So in 2004, she gets a deal with Mark Burnett to do the Martha Stewart show. And the first episode is like her first day without her ankle bracelet. And she shows her ankle on the first episode. It's like this cute thing. So this is very different than her previous show. This is more of a talk show with cooking and crafts. Like she has celebrity guests, much like a talk show would have, promoting whatever project they're working on, and they'll cook or do something with her. Martha's not in control of this production, and you can tell.
It's the vibe is like couldn't be further from her original TV show.
Right. It's like there'll be like a segment with Andy Dick running around like a lunatic.
It's like Emerald Live.
It's not like, I think she does a great job doing it. Like, it's not like she's bad. It's just not what we want from her. I think.
I mean, maybe not us. I'm sure it was pretty popular, right?
Very popular. It won Emmys. It was on for 7 years, I think.
That's not what I never watched that show.
I never did. I've seen clips,
but it's not. I need to be like immersed in the world.
I think that was, people didn't want to see her with celebrities. That's not what we liked about her.
Right.
Like at all. She was also getting brand deals, not nearly as lucrative as they once were, including one for PetSmart. I watched this commercial, and the other celebrity, I guess she had some kind of line of items at PetSmart, the Martha Stewart collection, and the other celebrity who had a collection was Bret Michaels, Bandana for Dogs.
Stop
and
it.
they're in a commercial together.
Stop it. Oh my God.
I saw like Bret Michaels and her. I was like, I got to see this commercial immediately.
Oh my God.
And she's like shopping and she's like, oh, hi, Bret.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys don't know each other.
I was like, what's going on, Martha?
Exactly. It was such a low moment.
Oh, hi, Bret.
Hi, Bret. What are you doing here? So the company continues to decline because she's not in charge. She's not allowed to be the CEO of a company as a felon. So she didn't really have much power. Things get worse in her personal life as well. Things finally end with Charles, which is sort of not shocking, but the way it ends is very shocking for Martha. She says that after she got released, they had this elaborate trip planned. She said, we were visiting the president of Iceland and we were in bed and he said, you know, Martha, I'm going to get married. I'm going to get married to Lisa, referring to his now wife, Lisa Purr's daughter, who is 32 years younger than him. I said, Lisa who? I mean, he hadn't told me a word. Martha continued and added that Charles told her, and by the way, her parents don't want me to ever speak to you again. I thought that was the most horrible thing a person could do. How can a man who had spent 15 years with me just do that? What a stupid thing to do to someone that you actually cared about. So, second divorce for me. Like, she considered this to be as equal to her divorce from Andy. In 2012, her show was canceled, and she makes a lot of guest appearances in TV, including Law and Order SVU, playing a private school headmistress.
Yes.
Which is I think it might be the only role where she's not playing herself.
Yeah.
In the other TV shows, it's usually her playing Martha Stewart. So in 2015, she really feels like her mojo is gone. She's just not feeling it. She actually sells Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia for $353 million. Everything she spent her life working for is over. The chapter is done. And it's then that she relies on her 2 lifelong mottos to keep going. Learn something new every day. And when you're through changing, you're through. So there's one thing Martha can do, it's reinvent herself. And her comeback has an unlikely starting point. In 2014, Justin Bieber is arrested and charged with drunk driving, resisting arrest, and driving without a license after he is street racing in Miami Beach.
Sorry. How is this going to come together?
In order to rehabilitate his image, he signs up to be the focus of a Comedy Central roast.
Oh, right.
His manager at the time requests Martha to be a roaster, and even though she's never even seen one, she agrees to do it. She's determined to give it a go, and then she finds herself sitting on stage alongside, obviously, a lot of professional comedians: Kevin Hart, Natasha Leggero, Hannibal Buress, Chris D'Elia, Jeff Ross, Pete Davidson, Will Ferrell, and then rappers Ludacris, Snoop Dogg, and Shaquille O'Neal is also there. So she really takes as many hits as Bieber. Like I mean, if you haven't seen these kind of roasts, basically people go up one at a time and they roast all the other roasters as well as the person who's being roasted. And a lot of people go up and they're roasting her. Like, she's definitely a prime target going in because obviously it's very funny. Natasha goes up and she's like, it's funny that all these rappers are on stage and Martha's done more time than all of them. Like, it's like that kind of thing. They're all going off on her image as this perfect homemaker, etc. And when it's her turn, she kills. She is filthy. So during the roast, Martha has the audience in hysterics. She's cracking jokes about Justin in jail. She's telling Justin tips for when he's in prison, tips on how to make a shank. And she does it in her Martha Stewart kind of way. She's like, when I make a shank, I use da-da-da. Like, and she's like, when I was in prison, I took my shank and went up to the biggest bull dyke in jail. Like, she's doing this kind of shit. And people are like, cutting to the audience, people are losing it. She says to Shaq that she hopes his mom still doesn't hold a grudge.
Oh my God.
Against him being born. She tells Justin he needs to settle down and find himself a girl. He says you need to have someone on your level, someone powerful, famous, and rich, someone you can smoke a joint with, or indulge in an occasional three-way. I'm talking about a player in the boardroom and a freak in the bedroom. Justin, my final piece of advice is call me. This is super horny.
Yeah.
My favorite joke, she says to Ludacris, who has like a bunch of kids by a bunch of different women, I guess. And she tells him that her advice for him is the next time you're in the bedroom with a woman, pull out and come on some fine Martha Stewart bed linens from Kmart. So she receives a standing ovation after her roast. Like, the audience is literally losing their shit over her. Justin is like, you're incredible. He hugs her. And the impact of this appearance is truly like out of control. Her publicists are like, she's the star of the roast. Journalists are writing articles. I saw a bunch of articles where like it was like Time magazine, like Martha's killed at the, like, it was like a phenomenon.
Yeah.
It made waves and obviously catapulted her into this younger audience. Like, it came out of left field. People were tweeting about it. People were tweeting things like, who's that old white woman next to Snoop? And that was truly the relationship of all time that came out of this show. The roast is where they really bonded. They hadn't met before, I think, on her show. He was like, came on like a celebrity, interview.
Guest.
But they really bonded on this show and the friendship blossomed. She said that sitting next to him during the roast, he was smoking, obviously, the whole time, pot. And she got high right alongside him. So this leads to 2016's VH1 show, Martha and Snoop's Potluck Dinner Party. It is what it sounds like. They're hosting a dinner party and cooking together. And I saw a clip of it. The clip I saw made me laugh out loud because she has one of those towers of the choux pastry balls.
The croque en bouche.
Yeah, and she's doing the spun sugar around it. And Snoop is just like, spin that sugar around those balls, Martha. It's just like seemed really funny. When they did a bunch of interviews, obviously, about their relationship because everyone was like, what the heck? And she said, we both have a love of learning. We like teaching. And Snoop's taught me things in the kitchen as well. She said that the thing he taught her was that you never leave the stove when cooking. She said, sometimes I get distracted and run off and I'll burn things or overcook things. And he doesn't leave. He's constantly there with his fork or spoon stirring the pot. He told Extra, me and her together, it's always beautiful. We always enjoy each other's company. And it just shows the world what love is love. that love is love. If you get a chance to sit around with somebody, talk to them, understand them, you can become friends with them no matter what color they are, where they come from, how old they are, race, background, etc. So she also became a social media star, like I think more than anyone over the age of 50, even maybe 60. She knew what to do with social media
Yeah.
in like a major way. I mean, she is 83 years old. Like that's always hard to like process.
Because I follow both of her accounts. I follow like the brand Martha Stewart, and then I follow Martha Stewart 48, which is her personal account.
A must follow.
It's a must follow. She's better at Instagram than most people in their 20s. Like she's nailed it.
Well, and as we mentioned, like episode 1, she was the first influencer and she still got it. Like she knows what people want.
I mean, she'll like post about restaurants or like that caviar brand she always posts about.
Yeah.
And it's like, that shit works on me. Cause I'm like, well, I need to get that brand. I need to go to this restaurant.
Right. And she's, to say she's had the massive comeback is like an understatement. Like she has the Bedford in Las Vegas now. I'm always getting ads for her fucking meal delivery. Like she's got it. She's got all of her successes pretty much back, and she's probably more popular than ever.
And I think also her old pictures as well, where she's like younger, they've sort of become like just like these iconic images that people will post and be like,
totally.
Martha, what a baddie.
In 2023, she became the oldest woman ever on the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. She said, usually I'm motivated by pay, but this time I was motivated by showing people that a woman my age could still look good, feel good, be good. I thought that this is kind of historic and I better look really good. So she did that. She does look great. Even in her 80s, she is still showing us how to live. And I thought I would end on another quote from the Jedeikin piece because I really feel like it sums her up perfectly, and I can't write anything better than Jedeikin. So she says, this is not the story about a woman who made the best of traditional skills. This is the story about a woman who did her own IPO. This is a woman's pluck story, the Dust Bowl story, the burying your child on the trail story, the I will never go hungry again story, the Mildred Pierce story, the story about how the sheer nerve of even professionally unskilled women can prevail, show the men, the story that has historically encouraged women in this country, even as it has threatened men. The dreams and the fears into which Martha Stewart taps are not of feminine domesticity, but of female power, of the woman who sits down at the table with the men and still in her apron walks away with the chips. I think that's very accurate.
That's a great quote.
So that is the end of Martha Stewart series, not her.
What a great episode, Desi. I mean, episode.
Yeah.
What a great series. I don't know how I'm going to follow this. I'm really upset at you.
Oh, no.
No, I'm just kidding. It was so good. I've so loved this deep dive.
Yeah.
I have something old Hollywood planned for next week. I have a couple things because I was like going back and forth between this like 90s thing and an old Hollywood thing. But so I'm going to save the 90s thing for like later.
Oh, good.
But I have an old Hollywood thing I'm going to do next week.
Cool. We will
We're going back in time
forward
again.
to it.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. We will post images.
And if you'd like to subscribe to our Patreon, we just added 2 new episodes up there, including an AMA. And we answered all your questions.
Yes, we have 2 good new episodes. So go join our Patreon.
Patreon.com/Hollywood Crime Scene.
Thank you. Bye.